Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
The program.
Yeah.
We do have a networking lunch. I don't know if you have a time constraint today, or would love to have you join us for lunch as well.
Okay.
Possible.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Great. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We have our program slated for 9 to 11:30 today. Given the crappy weather today, I think we're turning Sunnyvale into Rainyvale. And for that reason, we might be starting a little late, hopefully within the next 5 minutes. So for those of you that are already here, feel free to get a seat, and we will start the program shortly. Thank you very much.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. If I can ask the folks in the back of the room to grab a seat so we can get started fairly on time, that would be awesome. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. This will be our official 8th Travel and Hospitality Expo. This journey started in 2016, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amir Amidi, and I was involved with the travel program since the beginning. Very humble beginnings with myself and our CEO. And it's great to see all of you in the room today. The program has come a very long way. We have a great program set up for you this morning. We have about 22 startups who will be presenting. We have a great keynote speaker who I will introduce momentarily here. We're going to give you an update on our global footprint as far as the travel and hospitality program is concerned. And we're going to hear from a number of our new corporate partners who joined us in the last 6 months. A little bit about really the biggest asset that the program has, our team. We're 13 strong. As mentioned, our CEO who just arrived, Saeed, sitting there, and myself started the travel program, and the team has grown over the past 3 years, as you can see, both in Silicon Valley as well as our satellite offices around the globe. We have 6 offices dedicated to the travel and hospitality program currently, the 2 newest ones being Geneva, that's in collaboration with IATA, and we have a representative from IATA who will give you an update on what we're doing in Geneva, as well as Vienna, which is a travel program that's focused on the European markets. We launched another office in Abu Dhabi in collaboration with Etihad Airlines earlier this year. And we're going into the 2nd year in collaboration with Abu Dhabi and the Abu Dhabi Tourism Board. Overall, we expanded the travel program by 50% as far as the office footprint is concerned. With that, I want to actually welcome one of my colleagues out of Singapore. This program was launched last year for travel and hospitality program. Patricia Nordstrom, who's going to give you a quick overview of what we're up to in Singapore. Patricia, are you around? I think she's ushering people in. Rene and Ben, are you guys around? Maybe we start with Vienna, and then we'll move to Singapore. So Ben actually joined us out of our startup Autobahn program in Stuttgart, Germany, in collaboration with Daimler and Porsche. And he's one of the co-directors that's heading our travel program out of Vienna. With that, I'll give the mic to Ben, and Rene is running to the stage.
Good morning. Rene, your turn.
Hi, thank you, Ben. And thank you, Amir. So we got our last few attendees. We got them in a big group. My name's Rene Vogner, and together with Ben Close, we run the Vienna office, which is also our base for Travel and Hospitality Europe, as well as Smart Cities. And our program is actually pretty standard. So we have our typical plug-and-play structure with 2 batches per year. And in our travel and hospitality vertical, we support 4 of our partners: Vienna International Airport, Brussels Airport is here, hello, Star Alliance, and Swissport. I think you guys are here today as well, so a hearty hello from us. And Ben's going to go a little bit into what we do exactly, also the cross-horizontal axis that you have in Europe, and tell you a little bit about our program.
Thanks. So as Rene already mentioned, we do run 2 programs per year, starting in February 2020, with 2 selection days, 2 expo days, and innovation days in between. The main difference to most other programs is arguably that we will host most of these events with our partners at their sites. So we will be on the road a lot, and we have events planned for 2020 in London, in Brussels, in Zurich. We have our first expo day for Batch Zero planned in Sunnyvale. And of course, we also have a few events planned in Vienna, the most livable city in the world. So we're actually based right at the airport city of Vienna International Airport. So if you ever find yourself with a stopover, a layover in Vienna, please stop by at our co-working space and join us for coffee. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. And as you can tell by the existing corporate partners, some of which were actually corporate partners in Silicon Valley, the travel program in its current shape and form is focused on airport operations as well as airlines. which I think all of us would agree there's a lot of room for collaboration on both fronts there. I think Patricia joined us finally. Why don't you take the stage to talk about Singapore?
Thanks, Amir. So Singapore is structured similarly to Europe in the sense that we're trying to cover the whole region. So selection days will be hosted in Singapore, and then from there, focus weeks will take place in Thailand, Indonesia, as well as other locations where corporates want to co-host them. So essentially, our program is focused on travel and sustainable tourism and really leveraging our existing partners, as well as more to come on board soon. Next slide. Some of the key topics that we're looking at is how technologies can influence the hotel environment. How can we apply waste management, plastic reduction, smart buildings, and renewable energies to help these hotels become more sustainable? And through that, we were also looking at bringing on board more hotels as well as other key players in the industry to support this initiative and look at Asia as a new front for sustainable tourism. So yeah, if you're interested in Singapore program or the Asia Pacific region, we'd love to host you there. We have 2 summits a year, and essentially this will be cross-horizontal, looking at other programs that we have in the region, including Smart Cities in Bangkok, Indonesia program, which is a consortium of conglomerates that work with us, and outside of that, FinTech and InsurTech also part of this ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, obviously, for those of you in the room being our corporate partners, none of this would have been possible without your time and support for the program. I do want to give a special shout out to the 3 original corporate partners that helped us launch this program back in 2016. CWT, obviously, sitting in the front here. They've been with us going on 4 years. JetBlue Technology Ventures, you guys launched your CVC arm alongside of the travel program here. And I believe we have about 7 co-investments together, and you guys have made over 24 investments over the past 3+ years. Swissport joined us very early on as well, and they're joining our Travel EU program. So really, these were the brave souls that took a chance on us and helped us launch this program, and none of this would have been possible without your original trust in us. So thank you. And as far as the new partners are concerned, since our last summit, we brought on board 7 new partners, some of whom are in the room right now, and we'll give you a short, brief overview of what they're doing in the digital realm and why they joined the plug-and-play ecosystem. Namely, Korean Air is the newest corporate partner who could not make it here today, but they will be here for our next event. IATA, we've been working closely with them for the past 3 years. Stefan Copart, who is in charge of innovation and special projects there, will give a short presentation on what they're looking to achieve with the new accelerator we're launching with them in Geneva. Brussels Airport, the founding anchor partner for travel program out of Europe. Hong Kong Airport, one of the newest airport additions to Silicon Valley here. Professional Golf Association, I think our CEO is the most excited about this one. They actually joined about 3 of our verticals. One of them is travel and hospitality. First Group, one of the largest transportation companies out of UK and US. They are here as well. They'll give you a short presentation. Last but not least, Marriott International. So we've been trying to work with Marriott for probably 3.5 years. And finally, we were able to get them into our ecosystem out of our China Shanghai program. So Marriott APAC is part of our ecosystem as well. With that, I would love Stefan Copart to take the stage and give a 2-minute overview of our history together and also talk about why IATA thought launching an accelerator program with the help of Plug and Play could help IATA's digital initiatives and increase the rate of digital adoption across their 290 airlines. Please welcome Stefan Copart.
Thank you, Amir. Good morning, everybody. As Amir said, my name is Stefan Copart. I'm representing IATA. For those who may not know IATA, we are the International Air Transport Association. We represent 290 airlines. That's representing about 85% of worldwide traffic. And we provide support to our airline community around 3 main areas. One is standards. We do a lot of standards for this community to work together. It's a highly collaborative environment. We also do a lot of advocacy, like really lobbying on behalf of the industry to try to make it easier for airlines to operate. And we also provide products and services. One thing that we do, and in our team, what we are responsible for is transformational projects and initiatives. Like you probably heard about on the distribution side initiatives around NDC, the new distribution capability, or on the airport and passenger side initiatives like 1ID. So we are not, thanks to all the airlines in our team, we are not that bad in introducing new digital initiatives. Where we are a little bit less performant, if I would say, is about the speed of delivery. Most of our programs take a long time to be delivered for some good reasons, because we are a bit risk adverse due to safety primary requirements, but also it's bad reasons because the pace of change is too long for airlines to realize the benefits of that change, or to have new technologies implemented before they become obsolete. So that's the primary reason why we wanted to associate ourselves with Amir's team and Plug and Play to develop an accelerator program out of Geneva that will be based primarily on our industry initiatives. So I insist on this because it's really to try and accelerate the adoption rate of our initiatives. So we've doing the official launch today. I think the press release just got out from our Geneva office about an hour ago. So we are very excited to work with Amir and the team. We've been working with them for the past 3 years as we are running a think tank, and Amir has been hosting that think tank for 3 years here to inspire our members on those new ideas. And we've started the Accelerator Program a few months ago, very low profile, with a test batch, batch 0, that will come to an end at the end of February, where we will host our demo day at the same time as the selection day for batch 1. And that's going to be on the 24th and 25th of February. And we will follow the same model as the Plug and Play model, which is about 2 batches per year, and trying to bring like the two worlds together and the best of it. So the expertise from Plug and Play on the startup ecosystem and the technology, the expertise on IATA, on our initiatives and our industry knowledge, and the gateway to all our member airlines. So we are very hopeful for this program to be very successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stefan. And on a positive note, we actually have Etihad Airlines and Korean Air who've already given us a verbal agreement to join the ecosystem, but this accelerator actually is open not just to the airlines, as well as OTAs, GDSs, and other stakeholders in the travel industry. So hopefully we'll be able to create a more seamless journey, if you will, with this accelerator with IATA's help. With that, I believe the gentleman Sopash from First Group just arrived. I would love to welcome him. First Group, for those of you who don't know, is one of the largest transportation companies out of UK and US. Sopash is affiliated and the Chief Digital Officer with First Rail, which is the largest UK rail operator. He's in charge of all their innovation programs, anything that has to do with customer experience, marketing, and digitalization efforts. Hopefully it's true. I'll give you the mic.
Hi guys, so thanks so much for the really good introduction. So we are a really fresh partner. I think we signed about 12 days ago. So it's kind of a nice last minute trip to be here out in Sunnyvale. Sadly, the weather is better in London than in California. So I think there's so many reasons why we were so excited to join Plug and Play. We looked at a number of different alternatives, including those which are perhaps more historically Europe-based. I have heard rumors that you guys are thinking about a London office. Hopefully we'll make that happen at some point. So just to give you a little bit of update on what is First Group. So First Group's a $10 billion a year travel and transport company, headquartered in London. My specific focus is on the First Rail side. 5 very large railway companies. So we're doing roughly $750 million direct-to-consumer revenues through our digital channels. And a big part of any senior leader role is to continually raise the bar for what excellent looks like. So what was really exciting about Plug and Play is, although we are notionally part of travel and hospitality, I know that the best practices for me to create a more proactive, more personalized travel experience, those learnings, some of them will come from travel businesses, but I'm really excited to learn what fintech guys are doing, what retail guys are doing, what interesting is happening in the Internet of Things. And I think that's what made Plug and Play really unique, is the fact that we get to learn the best practices from all over the world, from every single sector out there. So we're so excited. We signed a 3-year deal. And for all the startups in the room, if you're working on something that's going to help me increase revenues and increase customer satisfaction by making it a really friction-free, seamless and personal experience, come find me in person or in Brella. But thank you so much, and really excited to make the most of today.
Sorry to disappoint you with the weather, but we'll work on that. But for those of you who don't know, a fun fact about First Group, you know those school yellow buses that take our kids around every morning? The First Group actually runs those, so they have a huge, huge responsibility in this country. Last but not least, I would love to welcome a gentleman by the name of Ward, and I don't want to butcher your last name, Ward, but I'll do my best. The Claw. Close enough? So Ward has been working with us, I believe, going on about 6 months or so. We actually had a great session together in the Star Alliance's office in Frankfurt, and Ward was chasing me down to do a press release while the conference was going on, which we actually released the following day. But Brussels Airport, for those of you who don't know, is one of the founding anchor partners for the travel program in Europe. We actually had an innovation day with them at the airport back in September, which was very, very successful. So we hit the ground running. Ward himself, he's been with the airport for 12 years, and prior to that, he was with Brussels Airlines for 7 years. So I'll give the mic to Ward.
So, thank you, Amir. So I had 30 seconds, I think, to explain that indeed Brussels Airport, very important hub in the center of Europe, and indeed committed to improve that seamless travel. And I discovered Plug and Play some years ago, and we kept on following what was happening. And indeed, a few months ago, we were able to come to an agreement and enter the program. So we are looking forward to what will happen the coming years, and to make sure that this partnership will help us to reach our goals, and that is to become one of the better airports in the European region based on the innovations that we will discover here. So, thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick overview of our upcoming events. I would say the most important one for the folks in the room are Selection Day for existing corporate partners. We actually moved it up by a month, so it's taking place on February 19th for Batch 9. And then our Expo for Batch 9 will take place on May 6th. So we're going to be part of Track 1 alongside of Brand and Retail and Supply Chain, which we thought is going to be relevant for our corporate partners here. We do have 2 events coming up, one in December, one in January. December, we're hosting an Innovation Day at Manchester Airport Group in Manchester. For the airports in the room, if you would like to attend that, please talk to Jordan Bray. And then we're also hosting a bigger event with Gatwick Airport. Gatwick recently got acquired by Vinci Group. They own 40 airports around the world. So we're going to have an Innovation Day with them in Gatwick on January 30th. With that, I would love to welcome my colleague Angela Shee, who heads our ventures. She's going to give you guys a quick update on what's going on with investments in travel startups and the digital trends in the travel industry.
Thank you, Amir. $5.2 billion have flown into the travel space over the last year, as of end of November. And VCs are continuing to be very optimistic about the travel space. While it represents only a small percentage, about 2% of global VC capital deployed, but travel is increasingly become much bigger. And as we can see, travel, unlike many other investment space, it is very global. All of the money that were deployed this year were well distributed across Europe, North America, Asia. And as VCs continue to be more optimistic, 7 unicorns were born just in 2019 in the travel space. There are 14 of them in total. Now, I can spend all day talking about fun facts of unicorns and debate overnight about whether their valuations are just, but the real implication here for all of you here is these names you see on this presentation, they're going to be your real competitors in the future because they have one advantage. Anybody want to guess what that is? Money, exactly, cash. They're sitting on piles of cash by VCs so that they can deploy them for growth, sales, marketing. They don't have to worry about profitability. And they're competing for the same customer wallet that all of you are competing for in the future. So be careful of these companies. There are 3 driving forces that will be the underlying trends that I want to talk about today that will impact the future of travel. 5G connectivity. As connections are become faster, wider applicable to all the devices across autonomous vehicle, to IoT device, or operational equipment, to consumer device, this will be the driving force of a lot of new innovation upcoming in the next few years. And the key thing here for the travel is you'll have more insight and real-time insights faster than ever to get to know your customers, get to know where the travelers are going and what they want to do before they even know it. Second macro trend, sustainability. According to a survey done by National Geographic recently, 42% of travelers indicated that they're willing to pick a travel option that is more sustainable. However, only 15 of them actually know what that means in practice. I think for all of us here, it's very important for us as an industry to define what sustainable travel is for the rest of the travelers. The third but not last trend here I want to highlight is urban and air mobility. 60% of the world's population will be living in urban cities by 2030. Today, we're at about 50%. That's a lot more people being in congested areas in the city, and there will be a huge pain point to be tackled by transportation companies as well as travel company industry overall. And there will certainly be key challenges around regulatory framework, social acceptance, whether it's safety or noise, as well as other underlying technology that still needs to be developed. But it will be an area that will continue to attract a lot of capital from investors, as well as corporations who want to take the first step into air mobility. Now, at Plug and Play, our investment portfolio continued to grow because we're focusing on untapped market. We're focusing on underserved, underutilized technology. And to demonstrate that one of our portfolio company, the best news from earlier this year was Beyond Pricing. They were the first data provider to a property managers who previously did not have the access to the information. And they recently successfully announced their Series A funding of $42 million, led by Bessemer. Today, we're all here to celebrate the 18 graduates of our current batch. All of them are addressing both immediate as well as long-term challenges in the travel industry, whether it's AI, data analytics, customer experience, sustainability, or operational efficiency. With that, I want to remind everyone to please vote as you listen to the pitches for the rest of the day. The link is right here, and please select the best pitch or the best startup that is relevant to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. The other advantage these startups or the unicorns have is the cool names they have over the folks in the room. All right, we're off to our keynote. We're very, very excited to have Jeff Katz with us today. I don't think Jeff needs an introduction, but for those of you who don't know him, he had an extensive career at American Airlines and Sabre. He later went on to be one of the founders of Orbitz and the CEO of Orbitz for a while. And his latest, I would say, passion is a company called Journera. And funny enough, Jeff, when we started the travel and hospitality program, one of the key areas that we were most excited about was actually the underutilization of data. across all the different stakeholders in the travel industry. So the travel companies have a tremendous amount of data they're sitting on, historically, based on their customers and the customer patterns, but very little is being done with it today. And I believe most of you in the room know that Expedia and Booking are pursuing something called the connected trip, which is connecting all these silos that have this useful data in. And I believe, if I understand correctly, Journera is trying to make that happen in a much more time-efficient, capital-efficient manner. So with that, I would love to welcome Jeff Katz to stage to talk about his seamless journey and what he's doing at Journera.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Amir, and thank you, Plug and Play, for the opportunity to be here in the heart of Silicon Valley. Some of you know the history of Silicon Valley. It actually did start with silicon, and it started very near here with the application of silicon to build semiconductors, the evolution of transistors. Fairchild Semiconductor begat Intel, begat lots of interesting companies that are very close to here, like Apple. Now, one of our investors, Mark Andreessen, has sort of made everybody aware that software is eating the world and silicon is passé, but we're actually here in the heart of where it all really began. Today, I'm going to talk about what I'm doing, and more importantly, I'm going to talk about why I'm doing it. You're all experts in travel. You're all entrepreneurs, either at new companies or at existing big companies where you're creating innovation, you're creating agility, you're trying to make big entities, institutions go faster, move smarter, create new value for your customers and your stakeholders. So I'm going to, as a part of that and my thoughts, I'm going to talk about some lessons from a startup survivor. I'm going to give you a little career advice because I want to and I can. And then I'm going to talk about an example of all this in play for me personally, which is the quest for seamless travel. It's easy to say, it's much more challenging to do, and I'm going to talk about sort of why I'm doing this and our approach at Journera, not to say that it's the best or the be-all and end-all, but really to give you an example of some of these lessons that I've absorbed, sometimes successfully, sometimes very painfully, and how I would suggest you put some of this stuff into play for yourselves and your companies. So, first of all, how many of you have seen the movie The Matrix? Can I just see a show of hands? The Matrix. Great. Great. If you've seen The Matrix, then you remember this part of the movie that I'm going to call, it's about the red pill dilemma. So let me remind you about the red pill dilemma, and hopefully you'll get why this could be important to you in life and in politics and in your work. So in this scene of The Matrix, this evangelical prophetic character, Morpheus is his name. People remember Morpheus? He sits before the hero character played by Keanu Reeves, whose character name is Neo. And Morpheus says to Neo, I know the question that haunts you, Neo. And the question is, what is the Matrix? And so Morpheus holds out these two pills in front of Neo, the red pill and the blue pill. And he says, if you take the blue pill, I'm going to paraphrase, I'm going to take you back to your virtual reality, your world where everything is great. Or you can take the red pill and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Now, if you remember the movie, Neo starts to reach out. You don't know for which pill, but you can assume, knowing Keanu Reeves, that it's probably the red pill. And before he grabs the pill, Morpheus says to Neo, but remember, Neo, all I'm offering is the truth. So today, all I'm offering is the truth. You can take the blue pill or you can take the red pill, but today I'm going to dole out the truth, and you can decide how much of this you want to accept. So let me go through first the life of somebody who's worked at very large companies and worked at very small companies, started companies from scratch, and give you a few things that I have learned along the way that I think are important to all entrepreneurs. They're important to all shapes and sizes of companies, and most importantly, they're important to all leaders. First, and most important, if you're at a company, you're starting a company, you're joining a company, the most important thing to keep in mind, and this is required, is this entity and you must have a thoughtful strategy and you must have the best talent. And that's super key. And if you're part of a company with no thoughtful strategy or an absence of talent, and I'm going to use coarse language today because that's the way I am too, get the fuck out. I kid you not, very few people comprehend this key decision that you have to make. No strategy, no talent, get out. No talent, no strategy, don't join. No strategy, no talent, don't start. Simple. Next, and very important, maybe most important, honesty and integrity. If you're at a place with an absence of honesty and an absence of integrity, you have nothing. I don't care how much capital this company has. And if we look around the world, we can see examples of companies and institutions, code word political, where honesty and integrity is lacking. But if you're at a place where you live and you spend your life and you give it your heart, why would you ever be someplace with an absence of honesty and integrity? As a board member and have been on a lot of big company boards, it's one of the first things that I try to root out. And if a board won't deal in the level of honesty and integrity, then I'm not going to be on that board. And I've made these decisions. So honesty and integrity, super important. Anybody who laughs at honesty and integrity, that is a problem. And you got to cope with it, you got to confront it, and you got to be honest about it. Timing matters. Almost all successful startups have hit the timing button correctly. A lot of good ideas have been before their time or after their time. So I was on the board of the very first social networking company. Does anybody remember what that company was? Anybody? Friendster. It was an amazing company with an amazing, all the star talent in Silicon Valley was on that board. I got to participate, but all the rest, the managing partner of Kleiner Perkins and Benchmark Capital, everybody was there, but the timing wasn't right. First, they got eclipsed by MySpace, who had a slightly better idea, and then came Facebook, who had an even better idea, but way better timing in terms of venture capital's acceptance, an ability to garner a management team around them and so forth. Their timing was ultimately better, and they did sort of a worldwide, generational, exceptional job as well to date. But timing matters, and you can pick many other examples of companies who've had really good ideas, but timing wasn't quite right. Another key principle to keep in mind in our endeavors, whether it's your company or somebody else's company, is you always want to work for the best boss. How do you know who the best boss is? Anybody have any ideas that they're willing to blurt out? Who is the best boss? How do you know? Best dresser? Most charisma? Excellent communicator? Who's the best boss? How do we measure this? The best boss is the boss around whom and for whom the people are the most successful in that company and later. So we can look at companies like Apple that have historically produced amazing talent. And you can say what you like about a guy like Steve Jobs, who was not a great person per se, but an incredible leader, an incredible talent. and produced incredible success, not just in terms of the company's history, but all the people who emanated out of there. That's one example. But there are many smaller examples and interesting examples, but the best boss is the boss who creates or nurtures the most successful people. They're not always the nicest people. They're not always even the best communicators or the best dressers, but they produce talent. And that's who you want to work for. And by the way, the best boss is not always you. That's a hard lesson to learn. So, but it's a good lesson to learn, and I heartily recommend that we all take it to heart. You similarly always want to work with the best team. No cronies, no sister-in-laws, no mother-in-laws, no best friends, no people with incredible CVs, but no track record. You can have a Harvard degree or an India Institute of Technology degree, and if you have no track record, you have no track record. It means nothing. The label means nothing. So you want to work with a team that's really produced success, that has incredible honesty, that are wonderful collaborators and communicators, but most importantly, you can measure the success that this team is generating and has generating. An important lesson. Another thing about startups that I think is important to keep in mind as you look at success and you think about the unicorns of this era, that success at a company, certainly any company that makes a mark, is almost always, not 100% of the time, we can talk about Google's an interesting story, but most of the time successful companies are good at, using an American football metaphor, they're really good at the ground game. They execute little steps forward, and you put together enough little steps, and in American football, you get a first down. And first down is then the next chance. And from that first down, then you execute a few more ground games, a few more actions, and you get a next chance. And ultimately, you get goals. Ultimately, you get victories, and then maybe you get league championships. It's rarely about the passing game, the big plays which leap you forward into the next universe. Most successful companies that you can point out today had lots of little steps before they achieved the recognized success and victories that we see in the marketplace today. The Ubers, the Airbnbs, even the Googles in the early days. Google in the early days got their huge success. Amir was there in the early days. They got their huge success by being in the search toolbar of Yahoo and AOL, two companies that don't even exist today. But the ground game is super important. So you gotta be willing in your startup, in your entrepreneurship, you have to be willing to grind it out and play the ground game. And if you're not willing to grind it out, you're unlikely to reach the success and the satisfaction that you so aspire to. And finally, I want to say that entrepreneurship and startups is not for everybody. And when people come to me with startup ideas, they come to me for capital. Sometimes I tell them, have you thought about running a car wash? Why? Because a car wash is not a new idea, but it's a really great business. It generates cash flows, it's got some issues, labor, environmentals, but it's a almost surefire bet in a car culture that it's a successful business. So these are a few lessons that I've learned. Startups aren't for everybody, being one of them. Leadership, I want to talk a minute about leadership because it is the most important quality in entrepreneurship. It is the most important quality in your work endeavors. It's actually the most important quality in any organization that you're affiliated with. And these are hard attributes to find in corporate life. First of all, most great leaders are excellent listeners. This is a really hard quality, and not enough people pay attention to it. Second, good leaders are prone to the facts. Yes, instinct can matter, But facts are super important, and if you ignore facts, it's hard to stay out of trouble. Integrity for leaders, I've talked about integrity just prior to this, but integrity for leaders is a calling. Courage. Leaders have courage. Now, courage is different than vanity. Courage is different than arrogance. But I would have to tell you that one of the things I see so much of, particularly in large companies, is an absence of courage. You have to have the courage to make thoughtful decisions. You have to have courage to create collaboration. You have to have courage to do the right and the honest thing. Great leadership attracts talent. One of the things that I talked about just yesterday when people were saying this person can be a great CTO, one of the key things about a great CTO is not their technical chops, but can they recruit? So a great leader and leaders attract talent, and you have to get good at this, and sometimes it's about your own success, but it is actually a talent in and of itself. A great leader works hard at communicating. No matter how good a communicator you think you are, you're never as good a communicator as you believe. So you always have to be working at being a better communicator, and leadership is about communicating and working at communicating. As I indicated before, it's also about the grind, not the glide. I interviewed a couple weeks ago a very well-known leader in travel guy named Richard Anderson. Today he runs Amtrak as a matter of American personal service, and prior to that he ran Delta Airlines during its merger with Northwest Airlines and the creation of SkyTeam and so forth. He's a really accomplished guy, and what he said to me is, if you want to be a CEO, it's really about the grind. Every day, grind, grind, grind. And today's generations, he notes, don't seem to want to do that, but I'll tell you that's bullshit. If you can't get in there and do the work every day, every moment, then it's hard to create success, the grind. And ultimately, the way to measure leadership is results. People who create results, people who live by values that are aspiring, that do attract talent because they are the kind of places and the kind of people individuals want to be around. That's what you can measure, and it's pretty easy to see values. It's definitely easy to see results. And leadership is this quality that you have to seek in your own endeavors and in the people you work around. So let me talk about putting some of this into action in my own quest for seamless travel. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Journera is about today. But it's less to me about describing why I think Journera is a wonderful idea, and I think it is. But Journera started with listening. So some years ago, about 4 years ago, I could see what was happening in the world, not of travel, but in the world of retail, where Amazon and Google were essentially crushing every intermediary and all physical retail in the marketplace. And if you were involved, as I was in the day in consumer retail, you could see something fundamental happening at the top of the funnel. And I could see, first of all, that all these intermediaries were going to be virtually powerless to deal with what was happening, and that's more or less proved to be the case with very few exceptions. But I could see this would have an implication, what Google was up to, but what Twitter could get involved in, Facebook could get involved in, Amazon could get involved in, Apple could get involved in, would really be fundamentally changing for the world of travel. And so I sat down literally and individually with the three CEOs of the major 3 US airline brands and said, what do you do, Doug Parker, CEO of American Airlines, when Google sees you, this great American airline brand, as a silver tube operator? Because that's sort of the vision just down the road here in Mountain View. What do you do? And I had that same conversation with the CEO of Delta and the same conversation with the CEO of United Airlines. And out of that came a project and a bunch of research which led to what we're doing at Journera to create seamless travel. And just to digress for a moment, my approach to seamless travel is not about building more widgets and not about a better application. It's about fundamentally changing the plumbing of travel, where you have to recognize data as a currency. And if you don't manage data at the data element level as if it were cash, then you're going to lose. And if you start doing that, where you manage every data element like hotel property address, flight number, flight is late, loyalty status, bags checked, boarded, checked in, checked out. If you don't manage those events and those data elements like they're cash, then not only you're going to lose, but if you begin to manage them at that level, then you can begin to collaborate in real time with every other partner in the journey ecosystem, and you realize that the white space is not a better airline. It's not a better hotel. It's not a better rideshare experience. The white space is about the journey itself, and what you want to do if you're an institution, whether you're an airport or a hotel or a travel brand like an airline, you want to get your fair share of the journey revenue. That's it. That's the white space. It's not anything else. Because you will never win at the top of the funnel. That's already been decided. You can only win by being an expert collaborator in the journey ecosystem and get your fair share of the journey revenue opportunity. And you do that if you're a great brand and you have great talent. So it started with listening. The thoughtful strategy, as I've just described, for me is this idea that we want to be what I'd call this open, almost Linux-like operating system for letting people collaborate in real time to create seamless journeys and let them maximize their journey opportunity, better customer experiences in the journey ecosystem, maximize their share of the journey revenue. And we create this piece of software infrastructure that lets them collaborate. No rules. Most of the economics go to the brands. We're infrastructure. We are plumbing. Smart plumbing, but plumbing. Now, plumbing, as it turns out, has always been a pretty good business, but we let the power of the economics and the power of the brands work. We're just smart infrastructure. So personally, my quest is if I'm going to do something again, and I want to do it where I can have impact, for me that's travel, I want to make a contribution. I am not doing this to make a buck. Yeah, making a buck would be a good thing to measure, but I'm doing this because I want travel to be a better business. We all travel. Our kids travel, grandchildren travel, friends travel, parents travel. We want it to be better, and today it is not that great. It is not that great. So I'm doing this because I want travel to be better, and I think we can do it. And so I start out, I raise some money. I start assembling a great team who are very talented, and I measure their talent by the success they've already created. I partner with a bunch of companies like Marriott and American and United and Hyatt Hotels and Hilton and so forth. And I partner with a bunch of investors like Andreessen Horowitz and others, Pritzker Group, Boston Consulting Group. These are partners who know how to make stuff happen. And then we build a platform, this patented Journera real-time secure data exchange platform that we built to show the marketplace that it can be done. And then we go to work trying to demonstrate value and value creation. So here's a couple of seamless travel examples. I'm going to give you one that's simple and one that's a little more complicated, but our consumer is Anna. She's flying from San Francisco to Miami on an overnight flight. This is what I call the handoff problem. We run into this every time we travel. So she flies to Miami, and her hotel, because the trip is now connected, not through the app, just through the smart software infrastructure. She doesn't have to do anything. The infrastructure knows to connect her airline trip and her hotel trip. So with this simple knowledge, the hotel can prepare her room for an early check-in. The hotel knows when she's landing, can automatically check her in rather than sending an email 48 hours in advance saying, hey, you want to check in? If you happen to come, I know you got a reservation, check in 48 hours early. What's that about? but you can check her in when they get the landing signal. And the landing signal, not the 48 hours before your reservation, actually triggers the issuance of the mobile key, and the key goes right into the wallet. It can go into the hotel's wallet, the hotel app, can go into the airline app, can go into the mobile phone app, mobile phone wallet. Imagine that I swipe left, I got an electronic boarding card for the flight, I swipe left, I got a room key, I swipe again, I got my rideshare credentials, and so on and so on and so on, all without the user needing to do anything because the journey's connected. And the infrastructure is what recognizes the journey, not some overarching OTA. Here's another example where Anna typically uses her favorite rideshare company on trips. And so what happens is the rideshare company now automatically knows when you're there, how many bags, what gate, approximate time to curb, and so forth, because that information is subscribed to by the rideshare company. And they have both the hotel destination and the airline information, and then can present to Anna all the details pre-filled, queued up, so when Anna gets to the curb, the car is there, and off she goes to the hotel seamlessly. Now, there's millions of examples like this, but this is the quest for seamless journey as it's beginning to come to market using Journera smart software infrastructure. And again, the power here is in the journey, is in the brands deciding what benefits they want to bring to the journey as part of creating seamless travel. So, in conclusion, let me just say dreams are good. You got to follow them, however, at your own peril. Startups are not for everybody. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Not every endeavor can be successful. Leadership is the essential element in yourself, but also in any company that you're a part of. Travel, I would say, presents a really incredible and inviting universe for startups and for growth, which is why I think it's fantastic that Plug and Play is so heavily invested with you in this endeavor. And I encourage you all, whatever it may be, to follow your own seamless journey. Thanks very much for the opportunity to be with you today.
Some inspirational, sobering, and visionary thoughts. It's always good to listen to practical advice instead of moonshoots. So thank you so much, Jeff. At least for me personally, I felt like I learned a lot, both looking at things through a corporate lens as well as the startup world. And it's so refreshing to see somebody like yourself tackling such a big, big opportunity. So I hope you're successful, and I hope we get a chance to invest in your next round. We missed out. All right, we're running a few minutes behind, shocker. But with that, I would love to introduce our own MC, Jessie Johnson. He's going to be introducing the startups that we'll be presenting to you. The unique thing about this batch 8 Accelerator Program, is a lot of the startups were actually based overseas. So a huge concentration are here from Europe, a few from Israel. So they've flown a long way to be with you today. I would really, really appreciate you giving them your full attention. I believe we have about 10 startups presenting, maybe 11 before the first break. And then we'll have a quick break and continue with the rest. So with that, I'll pass it on to Jessie Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amir, for the warm introduction. Once again, welcome to the 8th batch of Travel and Hospitality. I'm very thankful for each and every one of you making it out to join us today. It's a privilege to be back on the stage as your MC. Some of you may remember me from Selection Day, but if not, I am relatively new to the travel practice here at Plug and Play. I sit on the corporate side, but without further ado, I know we're running a little bit behind. I just want to remind you of the format for today's pitches. Each startup you will see will have 3 minutes to present. There will be no time for Q&A after, although that they will have. We will have demo tables with each and every one of them upstairs after the session. So with that being said, I would like to welcome John from Quid.
Good morning. My name is John Du. I am a sales director at Quid. And I just want to say I'm personally excited to be here today with all of you, with this crowd, because Earlier this year, my wife and I went on a round-the-world trip for 3 months, and we are very loyal customers to many of the companies represented here. A little more about Quid. So we are in the big data space. More specifically, we focus on the world's written content because we believe that there is a lot of intelligence out there written about something somewhere, and there's just a lot of insights waiting to be unlocked. And there are two problems to unlock and generate those insights. One of which is access to the appropriate data. And the second is analytics on top of that data once you do get access. And we at Quid, we try to solve both of those problems. So how do we do that? We have an army of engineers and data scientists that's constantly refining our algorithm to be able to digest text and digest language. We're always looking to refine our algorithm to find context in the text. And not only do we focus on text, we can also pull in a lot of quantitative and other metadata associated with text, and we are a very visual platform, and I'll show you what it looks like in just a second. And the way that we kind of address the first problem in terms of access to information is by providing our clients with a lot of kind of off-the-shelf premium data sets that's valuable to many of you. One of which is the news and blogs, and we get this from our data provider, LexisNexis, and we actually have the world's largest living database of news, according to our partner, who's also an investor. We also give our clients access to companies' database, and what we're doing here is we're reading a lot of the company descriptions, the technical descriptions, so we're always focused on text first. And we also have give our clients access to patents database. So think about anything that's kind of technology forward, cutting edge of the travel industry. You can find some patents there. But more importantly, you can apply Quid's analytical horsepower on your own custom data sets. So you can upload any information that you have that's text-based, and we can digest and read that information. So there are a lot of ways that we've worked with travel clients in the past, and I just want to give you a few examples of how we can help by asking you 3 questions. One question is, do you have a good pulse on your customers? Do you know what your customers care about? Do you know how what products or services they really that really matter to them? And can you prove that in a data-driven way? That's something that we can help with. The second question is, do you know what your competitors are up to? Do you know what partnerships or products they're launching? Do you have a good pulse on the competitive landscape in the world that you play in? That's something that we can help as well. And the last thing is, looking inward, is what about your employees? Do you know how to better engage your employees? What's the sentiment with your employees? And that's something that we can help with as well. And recently, we did a cruise line employee review. So on the last point about how do we better engage employees, and how do we figure out what are things that are top of mind to better improve employee satisfaction, improve employee engagement. And this is something that we pulled from Glassdoor, 552 employee reviews, and automatically Quid will categorize the reviews based on similarity of language and group them into themes. And each node or dot here that you see is an individual review, and we'll automatically group them based on the similarity of language. And let me just show you what it looks like. And I will get off the stage because my time is up, and please find me. I'll be around and happy to talk more about Quid. So what you're seeing here is a network map, and Quid is reading, our algorithm is reading the text and grouping things based on similarity of language automatically, and this happens in about 45 seconds. So we're reading 552 reviews in 45 seconds, which is pretty incredible. And here, so you can also see the specific reviews here. You can see the keywords of what's going on, and career growth is one aspect that people really care about. So that's Quid in action.
Thank you very much, John. Up next, we will have Amos from Rubik.
That was charismatic. Hey guys, my name is Amos Bar-Joseph. I'm Rubik's CEO, a young startup on a mission to solve one of the greatest challenges in the travel industry, flight disruptions. But first, let's look at the problem. The average tier 1 airline loses between $100 million to $250 million due to manual and fragmented disruption recovery process. From flight rebookings to hotel accommodation in case of an overnight delay, to ordering transportation, and eventually delivering the compensation to the passenger. But that is all a thing of the past. I would like to introduce Hercules, the platform which enables your passengers to self-manage flight disruptions using AI-based communication, and to significantly improve your brand loyalty, reduce rebooking fees and manpower costs, and accelerate response times. Now, how does the magic happen? In 3 simple steps. First, we reserve an alternative ticket to each disrupted passenger using our rebooking optimization engine. Second, passengers can either accept their reserved ticket or choose a different option through our AI assistant. And finally, staff can control and follow up distressed passengers throughout the disruption using our control panel. Now, our passenger-facing side of the product is a hybrid AI assistant, which enables your passengers to self-manage the disruption, preventing from long lines to accumulate, with no app to download. Everything is web-based, while creating a frictionless process, both for the passenger and the airline. On our airline-facing side of the product, we have a control panel and a dashboard, allowing the airline to centralize the entire recovery process under one software, and to streamline the whole solution so the airline can focus on the passengers who need them the most. Now, in the near future, we're going to add to the platform hotels in case of an overnight delays, transportation to the hotel and back to the airport, and automatic management of compensations to deliver to airlines the complete one-stop shop for the disrupted passenger, all from the palm of his hand, turning what was once a crisis into an opportunity to show the passenger the airline cares about him by allowing him to choose from personalized alternatives, flights, and hotels, to simply order transportation, to claim the compensation directly, or even get a coffee voucher while they wait. Now, in the last couple of months during Plug and Play, we did some amazing progress. We're super young. We did some couple of POCs with Iberia and Vueling, and we have amazing progress with Singapore Airlines and All Nippon Airways. In our pipeline, you can see growing companies as well as in our partnerships. We secured our first pre-seed funding from Entree Capital, one of the best VCs in Israel, and we're proud to participate in the Plug and Play program, the Hunger 51 program of the International Airlines Group, and the App Challenge of Singapore Airlines. So if you would like to participate in our journey to disrupt flight disruptions across the entire travel industry, please get in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amos. And up next, we have up here from Megacore.
Hello, I'm Abir from Megacore Technologies. I'm the CEO and co-founder. I'm going to talk to you about contextual forecasting, starting with an example. So everyone's heard of Oktoberfest. In 2016, about 600,000, 700,000 fewer people attended than the previous years and the years after. And why was this? It was mostly down to terrorist incidents happening 6 to 7 months prior around Europe, leading to higher beer prices and, I guess, more security, lack of consumer intent in the end. The airlines, for the most part, didn't actually capture this in their forecasting models or pricing models. And over a period of 3 weeks, they lost about 50 million, which is not uncommon, but it's actually kind of big when they lose out on the biggest cash cow in Europe. Unfortunately, it's not unusual. It's common. It happens everywhere around the world. And there is a pattern to it. Airlines very routinely use historical data. They don't take context into account, and they don't understand what the world is looking like in the future. And this is where Megacore comes in. So analysts at airlines brute force their way using intuition, hiring large teams to try and solve this problem through sheer manpower. For an industry, I guess, worth 800 billion now, it's kind of a big problem, especially when margins are like tiny. So it kind of makes it an awesome opportunity. And this is where forecasting becomes really powerful, especially contextual. We're the team to solve this problem. I say this very sort of humbly. My team is far better than me at everything technology. But we have pedigree. We know contextual data. We know NLP. And we specifically spend a lot of time in graph mining, understanding how signals online are being affected through travel behavior trends. For context, and I'm kind of bad at explaining this, this is an airline we worked with. The blue line is the forecast. The actual is in red or orange. And this is what Megacore does. This is a 90-day forecast, so we show an airline exactly how passengers are going to come in and at what price points as well. We've been working with airlines over the last year and a half. At the moment, we're in commercials with Singapore Airlines and live trials with Lufthansa and Swiss. We have 14 airlines in the pipeline. We'd like to reduce that, but we don't have the resources at the moment. We're still growing as a team. And we have 3 travel agencies working with us as well. We partner with data providers, a lot of the big ones, and we have loads more in the pipeline. As a team, we're hell-bent on proving online signals can make an efficiently used to make forecasting more accurate. But it's not just about airlines. We work across the travel sector in advertising, price optimization, and more recently in keyword targeting, specifically picking up what's driving consumer intent and how this can be used to get more consumers in at lower price points. What we are after is working with companies that understand the value of forecasting, and secondly, engaging with investors in our run-up to Series A in Q2 next year. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on that email or upstairs. Thanks.
Thank you, Pierre. Up next, we have Francois, from Safety Line.
Thanks, Jesse. Flight shaming is becoming a big thing in Europe, and it might just come to the US as well. Younger generations are pressuring airlines to reduce their emissions. So there are carbon offset programs. Those are great, but it's only actual savings, actual fuel reduction that will allow you to also have dollar savings. So take an example, climb. All aircraft are climbing at 250 knots up to 10,000 feet, regardless of individual aircraft performance, aircraft weight, winds and temperatures. All of these matter, so this is not optimal. Actually, the regulation says it's max 250 knots up to 10,000 feet. You can actually fly at lower horizontal speeds, which at the same thrust means that you could climb sooner where you'll be spending less fuel. So that's great, but which speeds should the pilots actually follow? Well, it's complicated. So what we've done is with OptiClimb, we use machine learning performance models for each individual tail, together with a 4D weather forecast. That allows us to predict fuel in different scenarios with different speeds, and then recommend customized climb speeds for each flight to the pilots. That will actually save airlines $1 million per year for every 20 aircraft. So if your airline has 100 aircraft, that's $5 million you could save just with OptiClimb. So we actually optimize the whole flight, all flight phases, including climb. And one other example is OptiDirect, our shortcut solution, where we'll recommend shortcuts based on historical tracks flown. And that integrates with the EOS weather application, which is becoming very popular with pilots. That's the weather application distributed by CETA on Air. I'll just show you here an example. The pilots will open the weather application in EOS. They'll upload their flight, so they see the actual weather on their flight. And they also have these little logos, the little green leaf, that's the OptiFlight logo, to see what are the fuel-saving opportunities during the flight, starting with climb right here, customized climb speeds, and then some direct opportunities, shortcut opportunities for that flight based on historical tracks flown, giving the pilot an indication of how much fuel and how much time he can save with each of these shortcuts. So you see one shortcut here showing 71 kilograms saved, 2 minutes time saved as well. And that shortcut has been flown in the past more than 67 times. So the pilot knows that when he requests it from ATC, he may just have a chance of getting it again. So let's look at the plug-and-play partner airlines and where they stand today with regards to OptiFlight. Well, I'm pleased to announce that since we've started the program, 2 customers have joined. That's AirAsia and TUI Group. That's 9 airlines at AirAsia in Asia, 5 airlines with TUI, 14 airlines joining. That's $19.6 million saved per year. Trials, American Airlines, Singapore Airlines, and Etihad, that could add another $59.1 million of savings per year. And then there's potential with the other airlines, some of which are in the room, for another $124 million per year. Globally, we could save $1.1 billion per year and also 5.6 million tons of CO2. So let's go green, look for the guy with the green shirt, and let's do it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Francois. Up next, Dr. Cinda Ben Salem from InstaDeep.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here, and really excited to this Winter Summit. So my name is Cinda, Senior Product Lead at InstaDeep. InstaDeep is founded in 2014, and we develop customized AI solutions for corporate customers, and based on GPU-accelerated deep learning and reinforcement learning techniques. And to deliver the best of AI, we believe that it takes a team. So amongst our 80 employees, half of them are working on our innovative and in-house research. But we don't, unlike research labs, we don't stop there, but we do all the way through, and we develop end-to-end products thanks to our engineering team and using seamless visualization techniques. In terms of partnerships, we are preferred delivery partner with NVIDIA, part of AI Builders, Intel AI Builders. We do research in collaboration with Google DeepMind, and we have our publication and most selective and leading conferences such as NeurIPS and AAAI. But now let's say how you can take benefit of our cutting-edge AI research. So if we look to the airline sector, we have a couple of complex problems. So let's say network planning. Let's look to gate optimization, ULD packing, rebooking our customers. All these are very complex and combinatorial problems where we have to use optimization solvers, we have to use search algorithms, heuristics, and also keep in mind that we need to find this acceptable trade-off between the optimality of the solution or the quality of the solution and the scalability. However, one common flaw across these techniques are the inability to leverage past instances, and therefore, it's difficult to generalize to any new or unseen situation. And here is the area of expertise of InstaDeep, is how we can help you build your tailored platform where you can combine these classic techniques with the latest AI breakthroughs. We add deep learning, we combine it with reinforcement learning, and we allow an incredible running performance through high-performance computing. And combining these classic methods with reinforcement learning is a totally new mindset, and InstaDeep is here to help you open new horizons for solving complex and combinatorial problems. As an example, our ongoing project with Deutsche Bahn, so it's the world's largest railway company, where we develop an AI prototyping to digitize railway operations. And as you see, we use operation research technique combined to deep reinforcement learning for a very large network. So if you have such challenges and you would like to try to optimize better and reach a better performance, please come and get in touch with us.
Thank you, Cinda. Thank you. Up next to the stage, we will have Lou from iFi.
Hi, my name is Liu Yang, and I'm head of media partnerships at iFi. I wonder how many of you have ever been trapped in the airport late night, thirsty and hungry, and realize all the stores are already closed? And how many of you ever want to get some snacks to go on the flight, but actually stop by the huge line? I'm glad to share with you that's becoming the history, with iFi automating the world's stores. I would love to invite all of you on this virtual trip to the autonomous store we just launched with Abraham, one of the major retailers in Europe. We actually launched the store right in the Schiphol airport in Amsterdam. What is special about this store?
We staan hier in Zaandam. Albert Heijn test hier een volledig digitale Albert Heijn to go.
iFi bring in the smart cameras and deploy our autonomous store platform to enable the checkout-free experience for all the travelers. You can simply enter with your credit card or debit card, and you simply shop, get whatever you want, and you leave the store. There's no line, no hassle, and of course, the store is always open for you, 24/7. Such experience is enabled by iFi and iFi's autonomous store platform. But it's not just about the checkout-free experience, but it's more about using artificial intelligence where people need it the most. We're also automating stores for train stations together with Valor in Switzerland. And for those traveling on wheels, I'm glad to share, we're also deploying autonomous stores for gas stations. iFi is trusted for our technology, but we're chosen for our care. We care about each traveler. We care about your time. We care to make things available wherever you travel and whenever you travel. iFi, automating the world stores. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Up next, we have Maxim from Travel Wits.
Thank you. Okay, in a nutshell, we basically, TravelWits does, it builds a next generation travel search technology for business travelers. So I'm sure all of you travel a lot for business purposes. Here's an example of a trip that I recently took. So I start out in Pittsburgh, PA. I have a first meeting in Bay Area. Then I have a next meeting that is in Seattle, and then I come back home. Figuring out flights, hotels, how you're going to get to the first meeting, what flight you take so that you're actually on time for the first meeting, considering the traffic between the airport and the meeting. How do you get from the first meeting to the next meeting? And figuring all of that out can take hours. This is crazy. It's basically a nightmare for many business travelers. And personally, I would like to spend 15, 20 minutes on figuring that out, booking it, and then just the rest of the time answering my emails. So basically, that's what we do in a sense that we're building the AI-enabled travel search technology that on the fly uses AI to incorporate a lot of information on the pricing, availability, and the duration of different modalities like cars, flights, hotels, Uber, shuttles, airport shuttles, trains, buses, traffic information, and much more to generate trip kits. Those are full door-to-door itineraries that are optimized around business meeting times and locations. So here's an example of how it works. So you literally take and kind of enter your meeting times and locations. So here's the first meeting in Honda Research Institute in San Jose. I have a next day meeting at Apple in Seattle. You can even specify whether you care much more about the cost of the travel versus convenience. You also have a control over some of the advanced settings. Like you can say, I would like to avoid Chicago O'Hare Airport as a layover airport. Then, using that, we generate the full trip kits like this, where effectively you can see that you have a non-stop flight from Pittsburgh to SF4 that lands at 9:48, and with the traffic and everything, you actually expect it to be on time for your first meeting. Then you take, after the meeting, you take a non-stop flight to Seattle. You have a hotel that is close to your second meeting, and then you take a non-stop flight back. So the full cost of the trip is $1,500. Now, if you are one of the users that selected the cost as a preference, then we find you a less convenient trip like this one, which has a one stop. But then on the other hand, it costs half of that price. So it's up to you kind of to do the trade-offs. Now, as I said, we count how you're going to get from the airport to the meeting, considering Uber, buses, shuttles, and things like that. Similarly, how you're going to get from the hotel to the meeting, comparing Uber versus walking versus taxi. And then we also use our technology to find additional ways how you can save money on the travel. So for example, you can take a flight the day earlier, and with the hotel and everything, it saves you $70. That saving gets split between a company and a user, so the user effectively is interested in doing that. And those are actually Travelwitz dollars that he or she can use to book vacations on our site. Now, competition-wise, it's all about the technology. So we kind of build this proprietary AI technology that allows us to do this optimization about door-to-door experience. We also position ourselves as a partner to TMCs as opposed to a replacement, fully digital replacement to them. So with that, I actually want to point out that we just signed a partnership with a TMC just a week ago. We're also closing our seed round, bringing the total funding to over $2 million. So if you're interested, I would be more than happy to talk to you later or talk to my co-founder, Arman, upstairs. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxim. Up next, we will have Konstantin from Dronamics.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me. My name is Konstantin, and I'm here to present to you a problem with a solution, or with a solution with a problem, because we came first with the solution and then the problem. As some of you might know, 1 in 10 purchases right now are made online, and the big retail giants are foretelling the close future will be 1 in 5 deliveries or purchases will be online. And the current standard is 2-day shipping, and they're trying to do it in same-day shipping. Okay, that's all wonderful, but how do we do that when warehouse or real estate prices are skyrocketing, the infrastructure is getting more congested, and well, yeah, everything is getting tighter and tighter and more expensive? Is there a solution that we can actually do the cargo? We can transport cargo at the price of road with the speed of air. Well, actually there is, and it's actually a 3-part solution. It involves, well, building our own aircraft, also building an infrastructure for that aircraft, and being able to centralize it and automate it. And first, let me tell you about the drone port, as we call it. It's a minimum viable airport because right now there are more than 55,000 unpaved or unused airstrips worldwide, and we can use that actually for little or rather large aircraft. And then comes the aircraft that we designed that has a wingspan of 50 feet. It can travel 1,500 miles with a payload of 700 pounds and costs less than $100,000. So we need to control that as well. So we thought of how to actually control that and use it over a big distance, and we're the only company that is not military operated that can do that over satellite. And this way we can actually do a same-day delivery. And here's just an example of what we can do in continental US for just $5. We can cover all these states, or this section of pretty much all of Europe, or Asia with the same aircraft. And also, how are we going to do that? We're just going to do joint ventures in the given countries with local airlines or cargo distributors. And the model is actually to become the supplier and the cargo deliverer, not just the aircraft manufacturer. And right now, in 2020, we have coming up a commercial trial with EasyJet and top 3 airlines in Africa and China. And who are we again? Well, in the beginning, we were 2 brothers, me and my brother. Now we have a couple of world-leading experts, Facebook's drone program head, former CEO of Etihad and DHL. So in short, we are Dronamics. Thank you.
Thank you, Constantine. Up next to the stage, let's welcome Gal from Routier.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gal Bareket, and I'm the CEO and founder of Routier, and allow me to take you the journey for the ultimate guest experience platform. So let's be honest. Let's start with honesty. Delivering great services in the hospitality industry isn't easy. Too many channels of communication, too many broken phones, too difficult. What it creates, essentially, is a negative response online, which hurts your brand reputation and evidently hurts the bottom line, as we all know that 1% decrease in TripAdvisor ranking equals 11% decrease in direct booking, which that's not fun at all. That's why I love sharing this word brain behind me from one of our clients in its early days, that every complaint that you see behind me is basically complaints that we were able to solve and resolve before they were able to get online. How did we do it? We reached out to the guests on their own mobile devices while they're still at the hotel. On the right side, you're seeing a positive experience and how we try to amplify it. A guest press 5 stars, great, let the world know. If a guest press less than 5 stars, that's an opportunity to now provide the operational team with a way to rectify the issue before it becomes a problem. That provides the hotels from a multi-property level, from a brand level, or from a property level, an overview to understand their guest posts and what exactly is happening on site. But what makes us unique is that we can approach the guest on every channel of communication, wherever they are, whenever they are. We understand and analyze their text, we learned what exactly they write, and we automatically create a work order out of it. And it's interesting to see that once you created and established a digital trust with the guest, once you are able to reach out to their device, there's opportunity for targeted marketing on their palm. You can upsell inventory from food and beverages. You can even provide an automatic concierge that will communicate with them and reach out to them while they're still on site. I'm happy to share that thanks to this merit of our product and its involvement, we are now growing in 3 continents, and we are establishing an entity in South Africa. And we are expanding into other verticals because we understand that once you have the user in your palm of your hands, from commercial real estate to hospitality, the opportunities are endless. If you have any question, feel free to reach out after the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Gal. Up next, we will have Jeffrey from Mostly AI.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jeff.
At Mostly AI, we believe in using data to drive decisions, and that organizations have a responsibility to keep customer data private and secure. One of the biggest challenges companies face, however, is balancing the two to better serve your customers and grow revenue in travel and hospitality. Raw data is extremely valuable, but offers no privacy. And the more noise we add to the data, the more private, but less useful it becomes. Some try to solve this problem by making data anonymous, but classic anonymization has 2 fundamental flaws. First, in order to protect privacy, you must eliminate information, which is bad if you want to conduct machine learning, AI training, or analytics. And second, even worse, despite destroying so much information, it's still really easy to re-identify your customers, which puts your organization at regulatory, reputational, and financial risk. For example, even if all data is masked except for date and merchant, 80% of travelers can be re-identified by looking at just 3 credit card transactions. 3. And although organizations are collecting more data about their customers than ever before, they're only using a tiny fraction of it. So how can you become data-driven and customer-centric if you can't freely share this valuable resource, either with your internal teams or external collaboration partners? Now, bear with me and imagine for a moment technology that would empower you to retain all the value of your data, while at the same time keeping your customer information completely private and secure. Let's call this data, or let's call this technology, a synthetic data engine, and imagine it's so powerful it could learn all the structures, all the correlations, and all the time dependencies in your existing customer data. And once this training phase was complete, it would generate new synthetic customers from scratch, which have the same structure, correlations, and time dependencies just like your original data, thereby creating a fresh, unmasked data set that's truly anonymous and totally valuable. And this data would be free to use, free to share, and free to monetize. It would empower you to conduct AI training and innovation faster, cheaper, and without any re-identification risk. Now, this sounds incredible, right? Well, thankfully, with advancements in technology, this is possible, and it's not just a theoretical concept. We're already working with some of the world's largest organizations to help them innovate across the US and Europe. They're using synthetic data for use cases like advanced analytics, startup collaborations, POCs, and product development. Our software is installed on-prem or in the cloud. We offer an annual license, and we're on our way to becoming the global market leader for big data anonymization. In fact, we just won the FinTech Startup Challenge at Money 2020, and CB Insights considers us the future of data security. But what makes all this possible is our amazing team, which has world-class expertise in consumer behavior modeling, deep learning, and big data. I'm Jeff from Mostly AI, and if you love using data to drive decisions and want to see how synthetic data can help your organization, let's kick off a POC, and we'll show you how. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Great presentation. Last pitch we have before break. Please welcome John from Fion Technologies.
Raise your hands if you've never frantically searched for a power cord or an outlet to charge a device before it dies. Because if you have, I want to know your secret. I'm John Nidell, the CEO and co-founder of Fion Technologies, and we're making power as freely accessible as data by untethering devices from power cords and pads. The typical travel experience. These words likely bring to mind both positive and negative memories from work or vacation-related travel. But typically the process involves packing our bags, including the electronic devices and associated power cables, adapters, transformers if we're traveling abroad. As we get to the airport and we progress to our gate, charging kiosks or outlets are often in non-ideal locations or occupied, forcing us to babysit the device as we never want to leave them while they're charging. And finally, as we get to our destination and arrive at the hotel, we may have forgotten a critical piece of the charging link, an adapter or a cord, that creates immense battery anxiety. This travel burden's got to change. Fion's technology is here to eliminate travelers' frustration and anxiety around charging. We created a first-of-its-kind, over-the-air wireless charging platform capable of providing meaningful power and data to devices big and small, coupled with a simple power-as-a-service platform. Our technology scales up or down the power delivery depending on the device and its requirements, from mobile phones all the way up to laptops. Using patented infrared technology, delivery stays consistent whether the device is 1 foot or 30 feet away, and within the same platform, we offer secure two-way communication between the receiving device and the user. So while our technology brings obvious advantages for smarter travel for consumers, businesses can also benefit from over-the-air power and data, eliminating electrical wiring for devices in remote or inaccessible locations, reducing phantom load power consumptions resulting in higher electrical costs, as well as creating an additional line of revenue through pay-as-you-go, power-as-a-service billing opportunities. There are a number of competitors in this space, and while some may offer delivery over distance, they lack the ability to deliver meaningful power. Others may deliver meaningful power, but they lack the ability to do so over distance. Only Fion combines meaningful power over distance in a safe way. So in relating to the travel experience, we asked, do travelers really want to be separated from their devices? Well, the incorporation of charging kiosks and most recently charging lockers suggests that airport operators may think this is the case. But the truth is that this falls dreadfully short as far as charging goes in creating a positive gate experience. Imagine fast and frictionless charging at your fingertips. You'll be providing the convenience of Wi-Fi for your power needs. You can eliminate the need to pack the charging cables in the first place, and you can provide a first-of-its-kind amenity on the ground in frequent flyer clubs or in the air and premium cabins. We are extremely excited about our first pilot technology partner opportunities. As our kits will be distributed in transmitter and receiver hardware, we've set out to develop an ecosystem based on travel and living spaces to provide customers direct access to our technology, as well as businesses to our service. With this technology comes a great team. From building rockets to large-scale social media platforms to high-volume manufacturing, we leverage the technical background as well as the customer-facing experience to build global technology systems. So in short, we've created a revolutionary platform, and we're interested in engaging with corporate partners and investors that want to join our journey. If interested, please reach out at the emails provided here or come find me after the pitches. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, John. All right, everyone. I understand we're running a little bit behind schedule, but we will be taking a 10-minute break. So I believe it is around 10:45 right now, 10:46. If you can please be back by 10:56. And also, as a reminder, I would just like you to know that if you scan the QR code on the back of your badge, this will allow you to access the link where you can vote for your favorite startup throughout the session. So thank you very much, and we'll see you back here in 10 minutes. Stations and find your seat shortly. We will begin again within the next 5 minutes. One more time, please start to find your seats. I know that was an extremely short break. We will be getting started momentarily. Thank you very much for understanding. Thank you, guys. Got your name on it, dude. It's got Wheel the World logo. I'm just kidding. That would be sweet. Like how it fixed out. Yeah. It's gonna be turned on once we go on stage. Please find your seats. We will have a very long lunch session for you guys to network after. Thank you, thank you. Please, everyone in the back, if you can please find your seats. We will begin shortly. Okay. To kick us off, please welcome to the stage Camilo from Wheel the World.
I believe that traveling can really change your life. Actually, that's what happened to me in Patagonia. I was hiking by myself, and one of the things that I thought was how amazing would be to bring my best friend, Alvaro, in his wheelchair to this place. It happened that we were the first one in history to explore Patagonia with a wheelchair user. We faced some very big challenges. Finding the information was so hard, almost impossible. We couldn't find where we could stay at, how accessible was going to be that hotel room, how we can transport, how we can make those tours and hikes around, and also that we needed that special trekking wheelchair that we figured out to acquire. And once we did that, a local hotel reached out to us, and together we partnered to allow future visitors to explore Patagonia after our trip. We did the trip, and our story went viral. Hundreds of travelers with disabilities started reaching out, asking us for help to do that same trip we did. We realized that people with disabilities, as anyone else, they want to explore the world. And also, that for them was the same problem. They couldn't find the information, and even if they find it, that information wasn't accurate. And we saw, at the end, a business opportunity when different hotels and tour operators from different parts of the world, they wanted to reach out, and they reach out to us, and they wanted to partner to replicate the same project that we did in Patagonia. There's 1 billion people in the world with disabilities, and 2 billion more directly related to them. So there's 1/3 of the world population who is missing out of the travel industry. So we decided to do something about it, and we started Will the World with the purpose to empower people with disabilities to explore the world without limits. How we're doing it? We're running the first online travel marketplace where we connect travelers with disabilities with local hotels and tour operators in different parts of the world. Since we started our company last year, we have made more than 1,000 travelers with disabilities to explore more than 30 destinations, generating more than $1 million in revenues. Since we joined the travel batch here in Plug and Play, we recently got awarded a contract with a Qatar company. So now we will start running travel experiences for the FIFA World Cup. A friendship that became a business that the world is asking us to continue growing our impact. And we have a plan for that. We will onboard the travel industry step by step, meaning hotel rooms, tours, and travel packages all over the world, not only in the outdoor sector, but also in the city and the leisure destination, by obtaining a very specific data about accessibility at destinations, organizing that information, and allowing travelers to book trips directly to our website. We are the first to market. We are learning so fast and so much about different types of disabilities that every single process is specially designed for travelers with disabilities. On top of that, we're building a unique layer of information, the accessible information that the travel industry doesn't have. And on top of that, we have an amazing brand of communicating real inclusion, people with and without disabilities exploring the world together. Such as our team of people with and without disabilities convinced that we need to disrupt the travel industry once for all. We have raised $725,000 in funding, including our main backer, Booking.com. But now we want to take a step further, and we're raising up $2 million to achieve more than 100 destinations, the most visited destinations in the world, and generate more than $10 million in revenue. We'll break even at 2021. Just before I leave, because I am out of time, I want to share this. This is what we do. This is the impact that we are generating. These are the trips that are changing people's life. And we believe that this is important and meaningful, not only because we can impact millions of people with disabilities, allowing them to visit thousands of destinations around the world while making a great business. We believe that this is important because it's a moral duty. If you think somehow, sooner or later, every one of you will have a disability as a consequence of aging. So if we want to keep traveling, we better start doing something now. My name is Camilo Navarro, and I'm the co-founder and COO of Will the World. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Camilo. Up next, we have Antoine from Tarmac Technologies.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Antoine from Tarmac Technologies. I'm actually quite certain to be right when I say that everyone in this room has already experienced an aircraft delay. How do I know that? Because aircraft delays are very common in the air travel industry. Over 20% of the aircraft were late by more than 15 minutes in 2017 in the US for a big cost, over $26 billion just in the United States to the industry. And what are the causes of those delays? Where part of them actually happen when the aircraft's on the ground, because turnaround is very complex. You have more than 20 different processes that need to happen, and there's over 10 different businesses, stakeholders that need to coordinate. But also because today it's still highly inefficient with not really adapted communication tools as well as poorly digitized tools that are used by the agents. And that's where we come in. That's why we created Tarmac Technologies, to enable a seamless flight operations. We are building a communication and tracking platform that brings together all of the stakeholders, airlines, handlers, and airports to monitor operations and improve collaboration. That means giving real-time visibility to those stakeholders, enabling some simple and direct communication, as well as fostering data exchange between all of those systems. So what did we aim first? We looked at the relationship between the airline and the handlers, and we created AGOA, which stands for Aircraft Ground Operation Assistant. It's a tool used by ground agents with a part that is a real-time tracking application that they can use in real time on the field to collect data, to receive alert and notification, so that when there's a problem, they'll be able to communicate directly with the right stakeholders to solve that problem before it impacts on-time performance. And then the second part is an analytics platform that can be used by managers to identify inefficiencies, track performance, as well as put in place performance-driven contract. Today, it's already a successful product. We're happy to test it with Air France KLM, and we showed that we are able to reduce delays, to put in place performance-driven contract, to have a balanced relationship with their handler, as well as to help them reduce time on the ground for certain of their aircrafts. We are happy now to deploy it to several new other stations in the United States, as well as during this program, signing a contract with another airline group to deploy it to their international network. Of course, a company is a team. We're a team of engineers as well as industry experts. Delphine has worked for more than 20 years in ground operations as part of the Air France KLM group. Maud is actually an aeronautical engineer, and she's our CTO, and myself, I'm an engineer from France and UC Berkeley, and I'm the CEO. So during the course of this program, we won several awards. We're able to talk to several of the airlines that are members of the plug-and-play corporates, and we're looking forward to talk to even more to try to make sure that aircrafts are faster on the ground so that they can be on time in the air. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Antoine.
Thank you.
Up next, please welcome Jeff from TripKicks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Burke. I'm the CEO of TripKicks. And I'm not here to talk to you today about how business travel is changing. I'm here to tell you that it's already changed. For big companies, it was all about cost. They created these strict policies, they beat up their suppliers, but the workforce has changed. And for companies, it's become more important and harder to compete for talent. Employee experience is a huge phenomenon in our workforce right now, and it's crossed over into travel. So, millennials and Gen Z, as they continue to become the majority of our workforce, travel's more important to them. Experiences are really important to them. And while that group might be leading the charge, all generations care about their experience as a traveler, and companies need to change. So what we do is we help companies improve traveler satisfaction, and we do that in a way that actually decreases travel spend, because cost is still important, and it's always going to be important. The way that we do that is by rewarding travelers for going above and beyond what's required of them. So as part of that, we generate a company-specific real-time budget that integrates into the traveler's online booking tool. And if the traveler is able to spend less than that in a way that's compliant with their policy, they're rewarded for their behavior, for their flexibility. And by empowering travelers, companies can save a lot of money. We typically see anywhere from 10 to 15% through travelers making different decisions like staying at a less expensive property or an Airbnb, or maybe they don't need to fly business class on their next international leisure trip, right? But it's not just about cost savings. We can impact change across the entire T&E life cycle. And this is important because all companies struggle with adoption of their managed travel programs. Employees don't always like to follow the rules, right? But by using rewards, we can incorporate that into the program and get travelers excited about things like doing your expense report on time, or using your corporate card, or booking through the online booking tool. And as the industry, it's really important, and so we set it up so that companies can basically encourage the behavior that's most important for them, for their travelers. And in the enterprise software world, it's really important to be configurable. It's also really important to be integrated. Our industry is dominated by a few key providers. Most of the Fortune 500, they work with the same companies. Companies like SAP Concur and BCD Travel, not only are they integration partners of ours, but they're channel partners as well. We started with Zappos, a really exciting company, and we're onboarding clients across a range of industries from manufacturing, professional services, oil and gas. We charge a percentage of savings, so we make it really easy for companies to get on board. We really lower the barrier to entry there. And we're doing a seed round in January to help fuel some of our growth, to increase some of our speed to implementation, tackle new trends like sustainability, and we'd love to share more of our story with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Up next, we will also have Jeff from Density.
Hello, my name is Jeff. I'm from a company called Density. And we are about enhancing the guest experience with something that seems like a simple concept, but it's people count. So let's talk about buildings really quickly, because buildings are obviously very important for travel and hospitality. They are also the world's largest asset class, $228 trillion. And when you look at a building, you think about what kinds of things it does for people. We look at 3 different functions. Primarily, a building's there for security and safety for its inhabitants. It's also there to provide features and space for the people who are there to enjoy it. And obviously, features the services and amenities that you might be providing within the space. The crazy thing about it is that most of the ways that buildings perform to these basic functions is largely unknown. We think that people count is a total game changer, and I'll give you some examples. With security and safety, with density, you know the exact number of people in a building, which is critical for emergencies. In terms of features and space, you know who's using what when, so you can make better decisions about your space. And in terms of services and amenities, you can provide just-in-time services rather than time-based services. So this is how we do it. This is the device. It's a door-mounted computer. It's threshold-based, so you only need a handful of devices to measure very large spaces. Basically, it's the most accurate people counting device in the market. It's also 100% anonymous. There's no camera involved, and the data is available real time. I'm showing you these images right now. You would never see these, but this is what the device sees. They're sort of like LiDAR images. It's a scanning laser, 3-dimensional images that the artificial intelligence then uses to pick out people and not count anything else. So let me give you some stories about how we're used. In security and safety, bars and restaurants use this for a very simple thing. The fire marshal shows up, and the person at the door points to the mobile app and shows them the exact number of people in the room at the time, and the fire marshal goes away. In terms of security and safety, once you know the exact number of people going through a door, you can solve this problem, which is security tailgating. Access-controlled doors, if you have 1 badge swipe and 2 people coming in, Density can detect that, so you can stop it from happening. Dropbox uses us here and stops something like 100 tailgating instances a week. TWA Hotel is a good example of a hospitality location at JFK that's using us to basically understand how this new building is being used, so they can make better decisions about how they're operating the facility and also even developing new facilities. And when you look at services and amenities, companies like Marriott and Delta use us in executive lounges. When the lounges hit a threshold in occupancy, we send a text message to the staff so they can deploy additional resources. LinkedIn uses us for cafeterias. It turns out that ordering food, you need to know how many people are going to show up to eat. We tell them that based off of historical data and also provide them deep analytics about each cafe, about how it's performing. So in summary, we have a robust dashboard with analytics, so you can do a deep dive on the data, a mobile application. The data is 100% anonymous. It's also real time, and we're built for real enterprise scale. If you are interested in learning more, I'd love the opportunity to talk with you. Again, my name is Jeff from Density, and we'd like to find an opportunity to try us out with a deployment. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Jeff. Just in case you all didn't know, if your name is Jeff, you have an exponentially higher chance of being eligible for our next batch. But with that being said, I would like to welcome one more Jeff, and that's Jeff from Avion.
Thank you. Indeed, my name is Jeff Becker. I'm here with Avion, Vice President of Sales and Strategy for North America. So what do we do at Avion? We're revolutionizing commercial relationships between airlines and travel agencies. Everybody's probably looking at me saying, okay, Boomer, tell me how it's done. Well, we can do that. As Jeff Katz was saying earlier today, we've got a team, amazingly talented team. We've got a vision, and we have a great leader also. and the time is right. Right now, the travel industry, the airlines pay over billions of dollars a year in incentive agreements towards travel agencies. This can mean an OTA agency, a consolidator agency, or a travel management company. That looks like a nice linear process. Unfortunately, it's not. I've seen one single agreement that has taken over 9 months alone to negotiate and settle and become implemented. The process has many steps, but in essence, it's inefficient, it's time-consuming, and it is not proactive. And in today's marketplace, airlines and TMCs need to be proactive. Our first channel that we're chasing is the TMC, OTA, and consolidator channel. Right now, most TMCs, OTAs, and consolidators are overwhelmed with manual paperwork and processes. The current tools that they have are weak, and they're delayed in their reporting, and most importantly, there's a lack of economic transparency for these agencies to manage their agreements and their performance. Avian for travel resellers solves that problem. One solution, one source. Right here, all of the agreements are loaded, all of your airline partners, all of the terms, all of the conditions unique to each individual airline for your TMC, your OTA, or your consolidator operation in one place. No need to go to multiple portals, no need to check different reporting systems. It's all in one place. The second channel that we're chasing, airlines. Obviously a little slower moving because they, as we heard earlier today, are very methodical, very tried and true and tested. We believe that this gives them the ability to offer instant campaigns. It's easy to offer, easy to implement, and easy to manage incentive agreements through the Avian platform for any type of TMC. It's scalable and it's dynamic. Avian for Airlines is a new approach to an old business. It gives the airlines control over all the terms and conditions that they always have and always want, yet it also allows them to offer highly scalable and dynamic agreements. Again, it's easy to onboard an agency, it's easy to offer for an airline. Any travel products that is sold through the GDS or an NDC channel, settled through ARC or BSP, can be offered through the Avian platform. We'd love to hear more from you this afternoon. Stop by and we'll talk to you. Contact me at Becker, jeff@avian.aero, not .com, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jeff. Up next, we will have Langston from Stryver.
Hello. So being at Plug and Play, I've really been around the building for the last couple months. And I've really appreciated the environment here because everyone's trying to get better. So you have startups looking to get better at serving customers. VCs are looking to improve their portfolios. And then you have the corporate partners looking to get better by leveraging startups and new tech. The challenge becomes when you're spending about $2,000 per employee on performance and culture, the tools aren't as innovative. So what happens is you try to get people more prepared for emergency situations, you try to get people to have better customer interactions, and the way you do it is you say, hey, got this really good PowerPoint presentation, and go have at it. Or hey, we got this new manual, and we're going to have you read it, and then you'll be prepared to fix that airplane. Doesn't always work that way, and it's not very effective. So the way where we come in is that we bring immersive learning, which is transporting someone into that actual situation that you need them to be prepared for in that emergency situation, in that customer conversation, trying to prepare people how to handle a situation in a hotel or with other different scenarios. You can do that by transporting them into or by using a virtual reality headset that'll take them into that situation that you need them to learn and be prepared in. So kind of a little backstory. We started off in sports because that same situational awareness is a lot easier to learn and get those mental reps from a headset and being on the field than just watching a game tape, which is totally different than being actually a quarterback at Stanford and trying to win in the Rose Bowl, even though that will not happen this year for other reasons. But we have taken our learnings from this, and we have pivoted also into the enterprise space. So if you're looking to, you're in a restaurant or you're in a hotel and you're trying to get people prepared to like how to set it up correctly, you have a specific way on how to handle like an emergency situation, like if there's a tornado, like where to go. Instead of them just watching a video, they can be put into a VR headset and they'll have an incredible experience, not just because it's a lot more fun than watching somebody like me give them a PowerPoint presentation, but it will also have them retain that information more, so they'll be more confident and more prepared to handle themselves in that situation. So I have 10 seconds on the clock, so I will not go over like Joe Biden, and I will then let you guys know I will be here. I have headsets here, so I'm not just talking smoke and mirrors, but I actually have actual equipment that you can go through and experience it yourself, because usually, if you're like me, it takes a whoa moment for you to really understand if this is real or not. So I had mine at a Sundance Film Festival in 2016, and if you come see me, you can hopefully have another one, or if you haven't had one, you can have one right now too. So I will exit stage left, or my left, your right, and head on out. All right, Jessie, here we go. Here we go, Jessie.
Hey, thanks, Langston. Thank you very much. Up next, the last of our batch companies today. Please welcome David from Ember Labs.
Thank you. How's everybody doing? All right, great. Hi, guys. We're Ember Labs, and what we can do is we can help your customers, your travelers, your guests have a better travel experience. So if I get the green button to work, you guys have probably, if you ponder it for a second, you'll probably realize that temperature is really central to the travel experience. Typical experience, I'm on an airplane, I'm freezing cold. The lack of control over the temperature kind of exacerbates what's already a pretty anxiety-prone setting. Then I'm at my hotel, I'm feeling too warm, I can't sleep because of it, and that obviously is on top of whatever jet lag there may be. And finally, I'm at my destination, and I'm feeling kind of uncomfortable and unprofessional because I'm sweating during my work presentation or my tour if it's a leisure trip. So that's all to say that temperature really has the potential to make or break a trip. This is where we come in. We're Ember Labs, and we are the first thermal wellness technology company. We are the maker of Ember Wave, which is an intelligent wristband that can make you feel warmer or colder by 5 degrees. So you can kind of imagine being on an airplane, for example, and being able to feel like 70 Fahrenheit instead of 65 Fahrenheit without having to bother anybody and to take full control over how you want to feel. As a traveler, that gives you a better experience, and you can feel better. And as an airline or a provider, that's better travel experience, better net promoter score, potentially ancillary revenue. The best part about this is that temperature also has the well-known ability to relax you and help you sleep better. It changes those things in the body, which means that as a traveler, you can have an experience where you're more relaxed during your trip and also fall asleep faster at your destination or on the airplane. Ember Wave is already a huge success. We've been on the market for about 18 months. We've sold over 45,000 devices. We sell only in the United States, but our product has made its way to 140 countries so far. We know that because there's a companion mobile app, and we can see all the countries where the app is being used. The reason that we're able to achieve this and deliver this value is because of a breakthrough technologically that my co-founders and I came up with during my PhD at MIT over 6 years ago, and that we've been refining ever since. In a nutshell, what we've been able to do is find a way for a device to provide very precise warmth or cold on the temperature-sensitive area on the wrist to trigger the nerve endings that respond to temperature in that area and harness the body's natural response to temperature in a way that then activates the regions of the brain that control the balance of the nervous system. And what happens when you can control the autonomic nervous system is, again, you can make people more comfortable, you can make them more relaxed, you can help them fall asleep better. This is unique, and we've patented many different aspects of both the hardware and the control systems and the kind of digital and cloud layers of this, so that we're pretty much the only people who can achieve it. So we are backed by Bose and a number of other investors. We've partnered with Johnson & Johnson, and we're now really excited to bring this experience to the travel industry. So we're looking for leaders in the space who are interested in giving a better travel experience to their customers. So come find me afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Great job, thank you. Okay, so that concludes the 18 startups for our Batch 8. So let's go ahead and give one more round of applause for all of our Batch 8 startups in our travel and hospitality practice. But we're not done yet. That's not all. In addition to our batch startups, we did bring in 4 more companies that would be highly relevant for you to be familiar with. So with that being said, I would like to welcome to the stage Sonia from Pilota.
Hi everyone, my name is Sonia. I am from Pilota and we are here to solve flight disruptions. So imagine that it's Friday morning, you just had a long week of meetings and you finally arrived at the airport for your flight home. You get there and then you realize your flight has been disrupted. And I think that's a feeling we all know too well because you know the situation is out of your control and all you can do is either try to argue with the airline to get some sort of compensation for your flight or wait it out. Either way, you're getting home way later than expected and way more frustrated. But that's why we created Pilota. At Pilota, we use AI to predict flight disruptions ahead of time and proactively book travelers on a new flight for free during these disruptions. So let me show you how this situation would have played out if Pilota had been used. At Pilota, we're continuously monitoring all of our clients' flights and using our custom-built machine learning algorithms to assess the risk of disruption to each of these flights. This means we would have been able to detect that that flight would have been disrupted ahead of time and sent you a notification the night before, say Thursday night. We then would have sent you a list of all the alternative flights traveling to and from your origin destination, and within one click, you could choose a new flight that works best for your schedule. At this point, you now have the option to either wait out your disrupted flight or take this new flight home. Either way, you're getting home on time, on your terms, without having to argue with anyone. At this point, you're probably thinking, doesn't the airline already rebook me? Or maybe you're thinking of some of our competitors. Well, at Pilota, we're airline agnostic, which means that if you've originally booked a flight on an airline, we will rebook you on any other airline, while airlines typically try to keep you on their own airline. We're also, compared to our competitors, a proactive solution, which means we detect the disruptions ahead of time and mitigate the problem before it's occurred. So you don't have to wait out the disruption or wait the 4 hours to get a new flight. We help you avoid disruptions completely. At Pilota, we have 2 ways we make revenue. One is very similar to insurance. So to protect your flight, we charge a small fee up front. This is dynamically calculated and comes out to about $15 for a US domestic flight. We also sell our analytics and our AI engine for a monthly subscription. Currently, we are, our target market is travel management companies, but we're also in early talks with airports and airlines about leveraging our technology for their internal operations. In the future, we plan to upsell to insurance and credit card companies and eventually go direct to consumer. Our company is very young. We've only been around for about a year, but we already have 2 customers using our product. We are part of the current batch of 500 startups, and we are part of the United Technologies Accelerator. This progress would not have been possible without the team behind Pilota. The 4 of us met at graduate school at Cornell Tech. Between us, we have experience leading technical teams at startups, technical teams at large companies like Amazon, founding our own startups. We even have a licensed pilot on our team and an IEEE published researcher. On our advisory board, we have the former CTO of Travelocity, Josh Hartman, and Dr. Kashish Arora. I'd love to share more about Pilota with you and see if we can work together to help your travelers avoid flight disruptions. So please come stop by our booth. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Up next, we will be having Simon from Yoti.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Simon from Yoti, which is a digital identity platform. So at Yoti, we believe that by 2025, 50% of the 4 billion smartphone users will use a digital identity to prove who they are. And our intention and our objective is that 10% or 200 million of those are using a Yoti digital ID to do so. So a little bit about the company first. So we're a global digital identity platform. We accept ID from over 175 different countries. We're headquartered in London in the UK with offices in the US, India, and Australia. We also have a team of 300 now. We're a certified B Corp, and we've got over 10,000 businesses that accept a Yoti ID to prove age and prove identity. In addition to that, we've just tipped over 5.5 million installs of the Yoti Digital ID app. So just to tell you what that is, what Yoti allows users to do is to create a digitized version of their government issue ID, so driving license or passport, encrypt it and store it on their mobile phone. And what that then allows them to do is share a library of pre-verified credentials with organizations that participate on our platform. You'll see in just a few minutes how that can work in relation to travel. We can also embed our identity verification technology into your existing app or website. So if you want a white-labeled, more bespoke service put to your particular organization, you can do that. We also have a robust age verification framework as well, which incorporates an AI-driven age estimation tool. So we've partnered with NCR in the US so that we can create fast-lane age-restricted items in retail. So I've done a little bit of a cop-out because our head of the travel vertical back in London has created a video to explain how Yoti can be used in the travel sector. So I'm told that this is going to work, but we'll give it a whirl. So here you go. This is Gav Watts from our London office.
Hi, I'm Gav from Yoti. And in this short video, I'm going to explain to you how Yoti can be used to deliver better travel experiences through our busy airports. Yoti removes the need to complete web forms when you check in for your flight and makes moving through the airport a lot easier. With a simple click of a button, I can pass my passport information and my biometric picture through to the airline, which, when combined with my boarding pass, creates a single token that is then made available to the airport. So at self-service backdrop, I scan the boarding pass, I look into the camera, and my face is matched against that token, allowing me to proceed with the rest of that process. And finally, as I reach the boarding gate, I simply look into the camera in order to board and take my seat.
So if you want to see how any of this works, my colleague Leah and I will be upstairs with a laptop and a demo, so come and see us. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Simon. Up next, we will have John from Smart Hotel Rate.
Hi, I'm John Packel, Smart Hotel Rate co-founder. So I've got a question. Raise your hand if you agree that business travel data is 100% accurate, flows seamlessly, and is a joy. No hands. All right, how about now? Said no one ever. So if you're not raising your hand now, you're not in business travel. So we're definitely not treating data as cash, as Jeff was saying in the keynote. I talk with veteran travel managers and consultants who say, if your business travel data is 80% accurate, you should be jumping for joy. And forget about it being easy to use. So at Smart Hotel Rate, we think that's bullshit. It's not acceptable, and we can prove it. So why are we starting with corporate negotiated hotel rates? So it's a big, hairy, audacious goal that is going to bring a lot of value both to corporations as well as hotels and the wider ecosystem. So I spent 9 years in product and marketing at Amex Global Business Travel, and it's amazing to me how little has changed in the last 12 years in terms of how companies negotiate their hotel rates, how those rates get loaded manually into the GDSs, how you have to do audits to see how many months it takes to get those rates loaded, and then how incorrect rates get discovered. Every travel manager I talk to says it's most often a traveler who tells them the rate isn't correct. So what this means is billions of dollars missed in savings by corporations, and this is savings they've already negotiated. This isn't extra policy and other advantages. It's also countless hours wasted in this manual work. And the only ones who benefit are the ones putting on the business travel conferences, because everyone has a panel about the hotel RFP process and escaping the vortex. So at Smart Hotel Rate, we invest heavily in customer and design research. That informs our product development. And see, these are some of the things that we hear. So from travel managers saying that they know that this is a problem, but they have no idea how many of their rates are incorrect. hotels saying that the finger always gets pointed at them. Very often it is rate loading issues, but there's other things that can go wrong as well. So when we start talking about our product, that we hear something very different. People saying things like, it'll be a miracle to have a single source of truth. And hotels saying it'll be great to be able to deliver on our contracts or commitments to our customers. So imagine that. So in 3 minutes, I don't have time to go into detail on how the product works. I'd love to talk with you afterward, including how we're going to bring blockchain into this. But in one sentence, we compare 100% of hotel PNRs to the company's contracted rates. We provide a real-time dashboard that shows savings opportunities, daily email alerts with the incorrect rates that have been detected, and then issue resolution. So where are we going with this? Why is our first customer a TMC? And why do we have 4 of the 10 largest corporations in terms of business travel actively looking at the product? It's this idea of the single source of truth, bringing both sides together in terms of what happened, what rate was paid, what it should have been, that allows them to focus on the strategic aspects, not the tactical questions of, did I get the rate, why didn't I, what was the reason? And the reason we're doing that is a foundation for next generation capabilities. This is where the blockchain will come in, creating opportunities that are not possible today with the current system. So I'll leave you with a couple of hero shots. We have our design lead, Nick, here, and our hotel lead, Matt, and we'd love to talk with you about your data and design challenges. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, John. Last but not least, please welcome Dennis from Troop Travel.
All right. Let me start my presentation actually with a question. Imagine you're organizing a meeting of 300 people. They're coming from 35 different origins, just you can see here on the map. The very basic question is, what is the best place for these people to come together? Where should they meet? What sounds like a very easy question is actually very difficult to answer. So what we've learned over the last 2 years that there are hundreds of factors influencing the decision of where to have a meeting. And it's extremely complicated bringing these data points together. So what happens is that people are basing their decision of where to have a meeting purely on personal opinions. So we thought we can do this better, and we've built a big data analytics platform which aggregates thousands of data points, which helps you to take an informed decision of where to have a meeting. And let me quickly show you how that works. So we give you the individual data points around flight costs, carbon footprint, hotel costs, ease of travel, visa requirements, security, a lot of different things. You can quickly see how each of these data points are comparing for different destinations. And then you can actually drill into the details of each destination. You see how the travel policy influenced the flight selection, and you can really simulate how a meeting would look like in Boston versus Chicago versus Toronto. Since our launch in February this year, we onboarded several Fortune 500 companies as paying customers, and we managed to get some interesting strategic partnerships on board, which will help us to bring some more meetings and events information into the platform. But coming back to my initial question of the 300 people from 35 different origins, actually a real customer case. And the interesting thing here is that 60 out of the 300 travelers were coming from Chicago. And the customer asked us, okay, what's the cheapest place to bring these people together? And we ran it through the platform, and we actually saw that they can save more than $70,000 by rather bringing everyone to Boston than to Chicago. And we thought that's surprising because more people would travel. So we looked at the details here, and we saw that on the flight cost, you can almost save $170,000 by flying 50 people more to Boston than to Chicago. And we thought, like, that doesn't make sense at all. So we looked at the reason for it. The reason is actually very straightforward. This company has a travel policy which says if a flight is longer than 6 hours, upgrade to business class. And in this case, apparently Boston was so well geographically located that only 29 people would be eligible to fly in business class, versus Chicago, 135 people would fly in business class. Now, this generates the saving potential, but as well, interestingly, even on the carbon footprint side, you would have saved here 190 tons, which is equivalent to the annual footprint of 47 people. So what we have seen, that our customers are continuously realizing savings of more than 40% on the overall cost by being flexible of where to meet. So if you want to learn more on how you can optimize your meetings and events planning around cost, time, carbon footprint, or you are interested about how we are doing as a company, please see me later at the demo table. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay, that concludes our startup presentations for the morning. So let's go ahead and give one more big round of applause for all the phenomenal companies we had here today. And, you know, beyond the phenomenal companies we saw, we do have phenomenal people behind the scenes. So with that being said, I would love to welcome to the stage my colleagues from the travel and hospitality practice, Leo and Michael, who will be announcing our corporate award winner.
Thank you, Jessie. The moment we've all been waiting for.
Well, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Allow me to remind everyone one more time about the voting for the startups that were in our batch. And we will have an announcement within 5 minutes. So if you haven't voted already, please put your vote in, and we will make the announcement soon. The second reminder, I think one thing that really makes our ecosystem thrive year over year is the high level of engagements coming from all of these 30+ corporate partners sitting down there right in the middle. Without them, this ecosystem would not have existed. So thank you very much for the partnership. This actually makes the award much, much harder. Every year we have to pick 2 winners, one in summer, one in June, and it was never an easy experience. But with that, there is one particular anchor partner that has been exceptional all around. And they had their C-suite coming in over the last 6 months. Both their CEO, their CMO were here meeting with startups, participating in the Accelerator Program. Aside from that, out of the last 12 months, they were able to have more than 40 startups going through in-person deal flows, out of which they did 14 pilots. And within the last 6 months, 4 pilots, 50% conversion, meaning 2 startups ending up earning their business and working with them on a commercial rollout. I think I queued up enough excitement and mystery. So with that, Michael.
The company that we're talking about is headquartered in Germany and is the largest leisure travel corporation in the world. Please join us in congratulating TUI Group for this year's Corporate Innovation Award.
Michaela, Lena, please come on stage.
And on behalf of TUI, we have Lena Antelman, who is heading up strategy. And we also have Michaela Zili, who is the head of big data transformation at TUI. I think one thing that has been consistent across all of the visits that TUI has paid us over the last year or so is that Michaela has been there every single time, and he's leading the conversations with many different startups that he's met through Plug and Play. So we're excited to have them here to accept the award. I'm going to let them talk now.
Shall we just do a quick group picture?
Thank you.
Michaela, I know I was telling you yesterday that 2019 has not been an easy year for lots of the travel companies, airlines, OTAs, leisure groups. I think amongst many headlines we read over the last few months, the collapse of Thomas Cook Group certainly got a lot of people start thinking about business models and sustainability and all the good stuff. So how did you like 2019 and how did you like the award?
Well, for sure, it's been a very challenging year indeed. A lot of events like the one that you just mentioned, but others, impacted our industry. The point is for us and for TUI really, how do we prepare ourselves for the next challenges and all the changes that the future will bring inevitably. And therefore, in our transition or transformation journey to become a travel company with great technology, we really think that the partnership with Plug and Play will bring us an incredible amount of value, as it did this year.
Yeah, and I mean, I can only add up to this. I think despite the fact that it has been a very challenging year, it's an even more important message that we will continue with the partnership in the next year as an anchor partner. And we're really excited about this. Just looking back at what we've achieved in the last month, I think it's really exciting. Creating a network internally as well as externally with a lot of partners, meeting a lot of corporates, meeting a lot of very, very passionate founders, and yeah, as you said, really realizing a lot of projects and POCs and generating first success stories. So very excited about that. But I think it also goes without saying that just signing a contract doesn't make you an innovative company by itself. We can probably all relate to it, but it requires really a lot of people that put a lot of time and effort and passion into this. And I think this is something we're really grateful for, that you support us on this, and also our internal partners. So high five to all the TUI partners internally who made this work. Really, really appreciate it. And I think we're really much looking forward to the next year to see what we can achieve and how we can make the future of travel and shape the future of travel together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. And I wanted to give a big shout out to your team, the strategy group as well. Unfortunately, Mersha is not able to make it to our event today, but he himself—
He's listening. He's on the stream right now in Spain.
As TUI's head of group strategy, has certainly played a very critical role in all of that. So thank you again, TUI, and thank you to all of our corporate partners down there as well for everything and anything you've done for this ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, let me introduce Angela as the next person to give the award over to the other side of the ecosystem that is equally important, if not more important, the startups. So,
saved applause for the startups. So I just want to, before we give the award out, I want to thank all of our batch startups who has worked really, really hard over the last few months. All of us have seen the pitches on stage. They're only 3 minutes, but behind every 3-minute pitch, there's a lot of hard work, a lot of team growing, a lot of blood and efforts that people have put into their product and really trying to innovate this industry. So without further ado, I would like to announce the People's Choice Award winner of the day. That will be Will the World.
Thanks for voting for us. Again, I think that this is just something that we are very passionate about, and this is something that all of you as part of the travel industry will face at some point. Whether you like it or not, you will need to make your products and services more accessible. Population is aging, and every one of us will have a disability as a consequence of that. So I would really encourage you to start taking this every time more seriously, because I think that all of us will need this type of services and products in the future. So thanks.
Thank you.
All right, I think that brings us to the conclusion, at least for the morning section, for travel and hospitality. On behalf of the entire Plug and Play family, I want to thank the startups who flew from all around the world here. Thank our corporate partners, obviously, who many of them have flown from all around the world. You guys make the ecosystem go around. I do want to be selfish and thank the Plug and Play team on the travel side, as well as our marketing team, the ladies you see running around and taking pictures. They capture everything that happens here. But let me ask the Plug and Play travel team to take this stage and take a bow. I don't think today would have happened without the individual contribution of everybody over the past 6 months. Don't be shy, come on up. the Vienna team, Singapore team. And I do want to give a special shout out to the young lady standing to my left, Olivia Yam. She's behind the scenes and she really made today happen. Not just for travel and hospitality, but she's involved in all the expos that are taking place this week. She always goes above and beyond her call of duty. Angela Shi, who motivated all these startups to fly over here. Not easy to do. And then Mr. Jordan Bray, who heads our corporate partnerships, and he's made this year, as far as new corporate partners are concerned, one of the best years for the practice. Thanks to our great MC here, Jessie Johnson. He did a great job. The Vienna team who flew over, Patricia all the way from Singapore. And we invite all of you to join us for lunch upstairs. It's taking place all the way in the back of the second floor in the San Francisco room, I believe. Is that correct? And then for the corporate partners who've been invited to our industry best practice roundtables, I believe that starts at 1:30 in the third floor auditorium. Thank you so much for your time and contribution. Look forward to the existing corporate partners to see you during our selection day taking place in February, and the rest of you hopefully during our next expo that's taking place in May. Thank you, guys.